Hello everyone, welcome back to the Afterhours podcast, number 7 today. Today we have a little bit of a special guest actually, Mr. Andrews. Hello, how's it going?
I'm good, boys. How are you this afternoon?
I'm good.
Alright. So just a little bit of an intro of who you are for people who may not have been in your classes before, Mr. Andrews.
Yeah, sure. So I've been here at St. Mark's. This is my 5th year here. I teach general middle school science and senior biology. I did teach year 11 psych for 2 years, but biology is where my true passion is, I guess.
Alright, well I know you are from New Zealand originally.
Yes, that's right.
So what's life like there?
Obviously, yeah, born and bred Kiwi. My father's side of the family is Māori, so he's indigenous to New Zealand. I grew up in a really small town, actually. Life was really relaxed, pretty low-key. Kiwis are pretty easygoing folk. Yeah.
Were you surrounded by animals by a young age?
I wasn't actually.
Oh,
My mum is really allergic to almost everything. So I was never allowed pets growing up, but I always grew up loving animals. And so I guess as I got older and could get things for myself, I kind of went a bit crazy. But yeah, didn't really have much growing up. So.
But you do have animals now.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit in excess. And I guess maybe that's because I wasn't allowed anything when I was younger.
Yeah.
But no, I love all things living, and I guess, yeah.
So what animals do you have at your home?
Oh, gosh, where to start? So I've got 2 cats, Molly and Maverick, and I've got 2 fish tanks. So an African cichlid fish tank, which is kind of like my...
How big are the fish tanks?
The one with the African cichlids is about 200 litres, and there's quite a few, I guess, aggressive species in that tank, and then I've got like a small guppy community tank. I've got my snake Hermione. She's a Stimson's python. She's about 4 years old. 2 bearded dragon lizards.
Wow.
Both girls as well.
Yeah.
Delta and blue. So yeah, you can see it's a wee bit of an addiction, but I don't know, it makes me happy. So I don't really see it as too much of an issue. I recently bought 2 northern tree frogs.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
What's the appeal of buying a frog as a pet?
this sounds really geeky, but I am a massive geek. I wanted to say that I have all 5 vertebrate classes of animals. And so all I needed were the amphibians, and so that's why I decided to get the 2 tree frogs. Cool. They were missing from my collection, so the collection needed to be complete. And then I've got my 4 Gouldian finches, which obviously make up the avian class. Yeah. Oh, and I've also got 6 Flinders Range scorpions as well, so starting to branch into invertebrates. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know this sounds a bit weird, but what do you think is the best? Which country has the best ecosystem?
Oh, far out.
I think we should start with ours, because yours would be more in-depth and professional. So we'll go, Damien, what do you think first?
I have no idea. I don't know a lot about biology, but I'm guessing the Amazon, maybe? I don't know. They got like some trees, the tundra.
Yeah.
Isn't it like 50% of all forest species are just in the Amazon alone?
Yeah, the Amazon has such a rich range of biodiversity. So yeah, it might be about that. I'm not 100% sure, but
From watching all the David Attenborough.
oh, my idol. Yeah.
Okay, so
Good
mine,
choice.
I was going to say North America. In
Okay.
my opinion, because in Canada you have the frozen tundra. You go a little bit down, you've got the Rockies, you've got mountains, you've got desert, and then you've got the more Mediterranean, hotter when you go down. I think it's just the widest range and so many different animals.
Yeah.
You've got cougars, you've got beavers, you've got bears. It's just you got everything there.
The whole kit and caboodle, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Good answers.
Yeah,
for me, it's always where I wanted to go when I was a kid, and I guess that dream's kind of coming true. I've always wanted to go to Madagascar. I guess it's because there's so many like unique animal species there. Like over 90% of the species are only found on Madagascar. So I guess it's a unique place where you can only find certain species. And I don't know, I've always been fascinated by the island. You've got the dry Mahamavo forests, and then up north you've got the amazing reefs and snorkeling opportunities. And it's a point of difference. So I don't know anyone who's been to Madagascar, so I think there's the novelty factor too of that ecosystem, and that it's fairly, I guess, unique and unexplored. And I guess more recently the risk factor. In Madagascar, there's a lot of logging and deforestation and urbanization that's threatening a lot of these unique species.
I thought Madagascar surely would have been protected by all that.
There are parts that are protected, but I guess they don't have like the infrastructure and resources and like the community assistance. So there's a lot of outside organisations that help them, and so we're going through Operation Wallacea. They're a big part of rehabilitation and community, I guess, ecology in the area. So yeah, I'm excited to go there. So I guess as of now, Madagascar's on the hit list, but I like how you touched on ecosystems with like a really big range of ecosystems or biomes. So I don't know if I had a second choice. I have to have a think about it, but maybe parts of Africa, or I know it's biased, but maybe New Zealand. Like you can go from surf to slopes, and in an hour and a half. So you get such like a quick range of diversity in such a short time. You can do everything in one day. So yeah.
Is there such a thing as like the most effective ecosystem, sorry, out there?
What do you mean by effective though?
Like functioning,
sure,
or
yeah, I guess functioning, yeah,
like efficient.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess for an ecosystem to be efficient, it needs to have high biodiversity. It needs to have those range of food chains and producers or consumers that can, I guess, buffer change. So I guess for efficiency of ecosystems working, it's those that are the most diverse. So I mean that could be certain marine ecosystems. It could be the Amazon that's high functioning. I guess it really depends. Yeah, it could be lots of different types depending on the number and the range of species in that area.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
What was the next question?
next question.
The next question was, have something about teaching. Like, do you ever get bored teaching?
Oh yeah.
science
So you
lessons?
are a biology teacher.
Now this is my question
Yeah.
because
Yes.
because teachers they teach relatively the same thing every year with changing what do you call it, by SCASA, the changing curriculum, yeah. But does it ever get kind of tedious and maybe boring teaching biology every single year, even though you know all of the content already?
I think, look, it can, and I think it really helps. As the teacher, you have to love your subject area. You have to really enjoy teaching what you teach.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can become like very monotonous and very like linear every year. But I guess with science, I'm lucky that it's changing as well. So there are new things like biotechnology and gene technologies like that wouldn't have been taught. Like that wasn't taught when I was at school.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess teaching a subject that's fairly fluid and changing also helps. But it's important, I guess, like you as the teacher, you have to always wanting to be like upskilling yourself and finding different ways to teach the same stuff. Otherwise, the moment of time that I kind of get to the point where you're reaching for that same folder and you're just cranking out the same stuff every year and you're not getting enjoyment out of it, and it becomes like too much of a routine. I think it's time to really change what you're doing. And I think unfortunately there are some teachers that kind of get to that point, they don't want to upskill, they don't want to renew the way they look at things, and it's hard. We're creatures of habit, and we feel comfortable doing stuff that I guess becomes more known. So trying to kind of reinvent the wheel, as some people may see it, is a tough job for some people. But I think keeping up to date and fresh and like wanting to do things differently is really important. Yeah.
Is there anything in particular about teaching you enjoy?
I like the fact that I wake up every day and I have no idea how the day's going to go. And I know that sounds cheesy, but you don't know how your students are going to be that day. You don't know how you're going to be that day. Sorry, what was the question again?
So is there anything in particular about teaching that you enjoy?
And I guess the obvious thing is, the interactions with the students.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is, really enjoying it when you see students actually understand things, or like seeing the progress. Some students start, they're all at different levels, but seeing each individual, I guess, student making progress in different areas is really satisfying. yeah, I guess that's the biggest thing, is seeing, I guess, students fall in love with your subject, and that's, I guess, the biggest challenge at the same time as well,
Yeah.
is trying to get students, I guess, into your subject area that you really like.
Did you
Yep.
always want to do teaching, or was there something else in mind?
It's a good question, Damien. If you had said to me maybe 15, 20 years ago that I was going to teach, I would have probably laughed at you. It was never in the plans to begin with. It just kind of happened, which I know sounds weird, but after I graduated uni in New Zealand, I travelled a bit, and I had a mate teaching in Korea at the time, and so I ended up going to Korea, teaching there for a bit,
Okay.
and ended up really enjoying it. And so I guess that kind of sparked the interest to come back to New Zealand and train to become a teacher. And, that was, probably about 10 years ago now. So
Oh.
this is my 8th year teaching. So it goes fast, yeah.
So what brought you to Australia then? Why not just stay in New Zealand?
Yeah, I've got a lot of family that live in Perth. So at the time, my parents were living here. So they moved across in about 2009, 2010. And my dad got really sick. And so the reason why I came over was to kind of be, closer with them and to help them out. And then, funnily enough, Dad got better and they moved back to New Zealand. And I guess I really enjoyed, living and teaching in Perth. It's a great place. It's a great city.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess I haven't looked back since then, about 4.5 years ago. Yeah.
So have you always been teaching at St. Mark's while you've been here in Perth? Or?
Yeah, so St. Mark's is the only school I've taught at here in Perth.
Yeah.
I taught in New Zealand for 3-4 years. I think about 4 years.
Yeah.
In South Auckland. So, yeah.
Nice.
So this is my second, I guess, school I've taught at, formally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, what's the next one? Next question here we've got is...
Rivalries in the office.
Oh yeah, so are there any rivalries in the science office?
Oh, you're getting into dangerous territory,
Yes,
Damien.
yes.
Look, I think just like you guys in Year 12, there's going to be people that you get along with, and there's going to be people that you don't necessarily click with as much. And I think when you're an adult and you're a working professional, you learn to deal with it, I guess, a bit more professionally. So you won't see eye to eye with certain teachers. And to be honest, I don't. There's some teachers where I've had arguments or, I've had to question things. And I guess that's a part, of growing up and realising that there's certain ways to talk and discuss things with people. So, look, it'll be a pretty boring place if everyone always agreed and got along and didn't question things.
That's a
So,
fair point, yeah.
I do think a little bit of questioning and, debating is actually quite healthy
Yeah,
and
definitely.
amongst teachers. And if anything, it can only drive you to kind of question your own practice and to see how you can do things a little bit differently. So, I know that's a very PC answer, but there's, I guess, people that, I do kind of see eye to eye with more than others. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess next question is there I was wondering, is there a hierarchy? Because I'm from the outside looking at science.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like social studies kind of at the bottom of the hierarchy when it comes to science, and maybe that chemistry, physics, that more intellectual, as some might say, and debate are more at the top and more.
Do you mean like a subject hierarchy
Yeah,
or like
within
a
the sciences, do you feel
a
like...
work-
But
Working
it
hierarchy.
doesn't have to be subjects. I mean, like in general, sciences.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people often joke about, like physics and chem being like the cream sciences because they are, viewed as being, I guess, more difficult.
Yeah.
Look, I think each science is really unique. Some are more difficult than others, but I think they're each, they each offer their own elements of difficulty. Someone who's got a really good aptitude for maths or equations will find physics quite easy.
Yeah.
I know biology becomes quite technical in Year 12 and really process driven, maybe a little bit too much even. Like we don't do any ecosystem kind of stuff or ecology, which is often what biology is viewed as. So, look, I think from the outside, and a lot of people do form that hierarchy of, like a subjectist kind of ladder, with phys being at the top and maybe chem, and then maybe human bio lower down. And psychology, some don't even view as a science. They see it as more English humanities subjects. So
Yeah.
I guess it depends on who you're speaking to.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like I don't, but I know others may. So yeah, it's interesting. Perceptions. What do you boys think?
Some branches of science, I feel like they're not lesser, they just branch more into English. Like you said, I think it's a better representation than looking at it like it's not just a box, like a couple of boxes on top of each other. They just branch out into other things. And I think that's where people think, oh, like gender studies, whatever, that's more not applicable to sciences because maybe it branches into more.
Yeah, sure.
I feel just because they are not like pure sciences, that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I think,
I agree.
Yeah.
Each offer their own kind of subject areas and content difficulties.
You could probably make the argument that physics is less of science because it's more theoretical.
Yeah.
And whilst biology is more real.
Mm.
You could take it the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Who's the funniest teacher in the science office? Yeah.
Oh, who makes me laugh the most? I think Mrs. Mackay actually says some funny things. I guess the way you see teachers is slightly different to how other teachers see teachers, and behind closed doors and office doors there's conversations and jokes that do occur.
Yeah.
Mrs. Mackay does say some funny things, and even Mr. Edwards, like he comes out with some, dry jokes or little comments. Probably one of those two who I guess from the outside you may not suspect, but
I've noticed
from the inside.
a couple times you and Miss Mackay have made kind of jokes with each other.
Yeah, me and Mrs.
physics
Mackay
and
get along really well.
biology.
Yeah, we have like a healthy, I guess, rivalry that might build upon that hierarchical approach to how we each view science.
Yeah.
But no, I'm actually really lucky. In science, we're all fairly close, which does help.
That's good.
Yeah. Outside of science, there's a lot of teachers that I don't know that well. So yeah, there might be funnier ones out there. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
The next question we got is...
We are burning through these questions.
We are burning through these questions. So when you were younger, you went on a TV show called Ticket to the Tribe, I believe.
Yes, Damien.
Can you explain that to the viewers at home, please?
So this was during my first year of university, and I remember staying in the halls of residence. Do you guys have dorms here, or like halls where you can stay in during your first year?
I think so.
I know other schools do provide dorms, but we don't. But
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, during my first year, I remember sitting around in our common room, much like this, and there was a TV ad that came up, and they were looking for families to participate in. It was called a travel show.
A travel show.
Yeah, travel show. That's how it was advertised.
Yeah.
And I remember we jokingly sat around and made these like fake profiles about our families. Like just applied on the couch when we should have been studying, but we were procrastinating.
Of course.
What you do when you're 18 or 19 years old, doing everything that you shouldn't be doing. And then I remember it was an email or a callback. It might have been a callback, from the production team saying, we've read your family's profile. They sound really interesting. Can you get your family to send in like a little video about themselves so we can see them in person?
Yeah.
And then at the time I thought, oh gosh, what I wrote was completely false, and just, having a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
But obviously, someone's picked up on it. So I called my family and I said, this is what's happened. And I thought they'd be like, nah, not interested, or yeah, good one, Josh, you're at it again or whatever. But they were actually on board, and they sat down and they made this video, a little bit about them. They sent it off. And then the production team got back in touch with me because I was living in a different city to them at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
And they said, look, we've got a video from your family, but we haven't seen anything from you. Can you come down to our studio, which was in Auckland, and come and have a chat to us? So I did that. And they said, hey, your family's perfect. Can you guys leave in 2 weeks? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm at uni. I've got exams. My parents are working.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to have to, run it by my parents. I'm at uni, they're working. And see if it's even a possibility. And it happened that, both my parents could get time off work, and I had to sit my exams or do tests at a slightly different date.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a swag of inoculations, signed off on some waivers, and before we knew it, we were off to the unknown. So I guess before leaving, we had no idea what the actual like true premise of the show was.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
so we thought it was a travel show. We're like, sweet, we're gonna go try out some resorts, and it sounds awesome. And then we get to the airport not knowing where we're going. So we were just told we're going somewhere warm, and we got our tickets, and it was to Singapore, and we're like, oh, okay, Singapore, cool, sounds fun. And then we get to Singapore, and they give us another ticket to Johannesburg. And then it was really, from there that like every day was a surprise. And we got to Johannesburg, and I remember we travelled for what felt like 3 days until we got to the edge of this river. They took our bags off us, they chucked us in a boat, and then we go across the river, and we end up being welcomed by this Zulu tribe. And we're like, oh, it's a day excursion. This is fun, like a little bit of a cultural experience, and then we'll be back on the boat and back to our, our hotel or lodge. And that's when they threw us into the deep end. And well, not the deep end, but this is where they really caught us off guard and said, you'll be staying with this tribe for 2 weeks. The Zulu tribe. Wow. So nothing on us, bags taken, or literally the clothes on our back. Yeah. We all kind of looked around at each other. None of us could communicate with them. And I guess that's what the TV show was based upon. And so, that's why it was called Ticket to the Tribe, because we got our ticket to the tribe unknowingly. A huge culture shock, but an amazing experience. Unfortunately, I wasn't portrayed in the best of lights, but, I guess I was an 18, 19-year-old at the time. And, I quickly learned that TV shows, they kind of edit and focus on certain things to portray you in a certain way. So I guess the character that I got portrayed as was, like the moody adolescent, kind of the stereotypical teenager. So that's kind of the character that I fulfilled on the show. Hence why I'm a little bit nervous about people seeing it. But we all change, don't we? So that was a long time ago now.
So on the show, you did like tasks with your family, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we were set challenges like every 3 days, and if we didn't fulfill them, then we got punished, and so we had to attend tribal council, and then we were judged, and
Was it like Survivor?
Yeah, look, it had a Survivor-esque feel to it. There was no like eliminations or anything like that. Like the purpose was to be accepted by the tribe through fitting in and through doing, I guess, challenges. And
did you get accepted to the tribe?
In the end, we did. Yeah.
Wow.
In the end, we did, which was slightly predictable, but it wasn't an easy 2 weeks. It was like outdoor ed camp on steroids, literally.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how many families were there? Was it just you at every time, or was it like a range of families? Or
so my family went to South Africa, and there was another family that went to Namibia and stayed with the Himba people, and then another family actually went to Indonesia and stayed with the Mentawai tribe. So 3 different families, 3 different tribes.
Will you ever show it to like other students other than our form? Because our form has seen it.
Yeah, you have had it say,
Will you ever show it to everyone else?
I don't know. I don't know why I'm so embarrassed by it. I think because maybe the position I'm in as a teacher. I guess, being a teacher, you have to be so careful about what you show people, and giving, an insight into your personal life can be a little bit terrifying, actually, So, I don't know. I think maybe to the older students, I think they can not understand, but they can kind of, like, they're at the age where it's a little bit more appropriate to show them, maybe. And the younger ones, maybe not. Yeah. But, at the end of the day, it was, looking back at it now, it's a pretty unreal experience, getting to live with a primitive tribe for 2 weeks and doing everything that they do. Yeah. I'll do it all over again with a completely different mindset. Yeah, if given the chance, I guess.
Would you like a little reunion with your family now that you're all older?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I've never really thought about it. But I think we'd see it in a much different light now. My little brother came in. He was, I think, maybe 13 at the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess he's 24, 25 now. So, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting seeing it through maybe slightly different lenses, a little
Yeah.
bit older, with a different mindset. Yeah.
Did you learn any Zulu while you were there?
It's the clicky language. Like they had a lot of like clicks and things like that.
So what do you mean by clicks? Sorry,
Like within their language, they incorporate like
like,
clicks and like kosa, non kosa. I don't know. Mr. Fenimore actually can say like certain words. It's really hard. I can't do it.
So that's the one with the spears and then the shield, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we were right on the border of, I think, oh gosh, what's it called? Is it Mozambique? Up on the.
Oh, we can get the
we
Google up.
can-
and do that,
Yeah, search this.
I
Yeah.
think because I remember them saying, "Oh, we can go across to Mozambique because it's really close."
Yeah.
But we didn't end up doing it. But it was right on the coast there, right on the beach. Yeah, I think the area is called like KwaZulu Natal or something like that.
What was it?
Zulu.
Kwazulu-
Or Zululand. It's kind of like that whole strip
Zululand.
on the east.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Andy can do a little bit of Zulu.
Yeah, it's a
as well.
fascinating language. Like it's really, unique. I can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, KwaZulu Natal. That's this place.
It has a population of 800,000. Wow.
Oh, smaller than I would think.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where you were. Probably up the
Oh,
road.
they
Yeah, it was-
speak,
The river here.
they speak isiZulu.
There's like is this the river that you were talking about up here?
Yeah, I remember driving up from Durban. So
Yeah, so
we flew into Johannesburg. Oh, that's right. We had a connecting flight to Durban, and then we drove all the way up. I think it was right on the beach there. Yeah, so around that region. Yep.
Nice. Well, as a biology teacher, I would imagine you have a favorite animal.
I always get asked this question, Damien,
Yeah.
and it's the hardest question.
How about favorite species?
Favorite species? Look, I love.
Yeah,
It's pretty much the same
Yeah.
question.
I realise that.
Hey,
That is kind of the
The
same,
same
question.
question.
What's a broader?
I've always been fascinated by marine life, so I've always
Okay.
grown up loving
Yeah.
like fish and anything that lives under the oceans, and that's probably why I've got 2 fish tanks at home. I don't know. I've always found it really like calming and soothing, and maybe an orca, like a killer whale, like they're like
Those are cool.
top dog. No one messes with them. Like they kill great whites and baby whales. Well, not to say that I do that,
Yeah.
but like they're top of the food chain.
Very
and,
alpha.
like I feel like you'd be safe. They hang out in pods. They're social.
I've seen them do where they have the big school of fish, and then they do the backflip with their tail, and it generates so much energy that it actually knocks out the fish.
Yeah.
So they can get them without actually like swimming into the pod.
Yeah, they do some
fish.
pretty amazing stuff. I've even seen like down in Antarctica where they, create those small, not tidal waves,
Oh,
but those
yeah,
where they
yeah.
kind of force like sleeping seals off, chunks of ice and that. So they're really smart as well. Yeah.
They have better like teamwork than probably we could ever pull off. And
Yeah.
they don't even
Really?
they don't even have to speak to each other. They just
Don't they like communicate?
Oh.
Like
Echolocation.
echolocation, yeah. Don't like just
Maybe not like sophisticated speech
Yeah.
like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you've got a group of like 5-10 teenagers, like orcas will probably have more teamwork just innately.
I'd probably agree with you there,
Yeah.
Roman. Yeah.
Like the way they, especially with what you're saying with like the seals on the little patch of ice and they create like
Yeah.
the waves. It's like some are underneath circling, the lesser ones, and the stronger ones go, and they're like it's all circular motions of how they do it. And it's like a teamwork thing where okay, us two go now, and then you guys go now, and then give a little bit
Yeah.
of rest for those guys.
It's a whole orchestrated system.
Yeah.
Like right
they
from
just-
the one
they
that
just
spy
do it.
hops to find them, and then all right, boys, line up.
Yeah, dolphins do the same thing.
Yeah.
I've seen them do they create bubbles around fish.
Bubble netting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the bubbles slowly get smaller and smaller, and then like from the depths, these other dolphins coming from the top, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow.
wait, how does,
Humpbacks do this too. It's a really good hunting strategy.
how does bubble netting work?
So it creates bubbles from like a what do you call the hole? It's
like the blowhole.
Blowhole.
Yeah.
So they create holes, and it scares the fish to go the other way, but then they do in a circle, so they don't leave that circle.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of scares them and it corrals them to like not leaving that.
So it goes higher up and higher
Yeah.
up to the surface.
and then they come up from the bottom and dinner.
What about you, Roman? Do you have a favorite animal?
Oh, I don't know. Do you have one? I need a second to think.
Not really. Like, I like cats, but...
Are you a cat person?
Yeah,
I like
I'm
that.
more of a cat
Damien.
That's actually
dog,
true.
yeah.
But wait, what kind of cat? Domesticated or?
Domesticated, yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like the other cats, the big ones.
Like lions
Like,
and tigers? Or what? Saber-tooths?
No, tigers. Tigers
Tigers.
are so beautiful, and stuff like cougars,
Yeah.
because they're the ultimate predator. Like they can hunt anything. They're just so good at it. It's so impressive.
Yeah, I think if you're going to be any animal, you kind of want to be high up on the food chain.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise you won't be around for very long. Yeah, or one that has like good escape adaptations, good fight or flight mechanisms.
A chameleon's pretty good too.
Chameleon.
Oh, they're so cool. Oh,
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine.
It's
Alright,
good.
yeah.
I wish we could keep them in Australia. Yeah,
Are there
illegal.
laws
Why
preventing it?
can't you?
They're illegal. They're like exotic pets, and we don't actually have chameleon species in Australia. So, but that would be really neat.
They're so cute.
Yep.
I've seen a guy in Africa. He gets one. He like buys one just off the street from a dude.
What?
Yeah, like a kiosk. He's like, it was in like a town where they do legit rituals that they kill animals, and you can buy like animals to kill.
Yeah.
And this dude is going there.
Well, they're killing chameleons.
Yeah, the guy was selling just a variety of animals that I think he caught himself.
So sad.
And there's like goats and stuff there, lambs, and he's just like, oh, can I buy the chameleon? He's like, oh yeah, like 2 cents or whatever. And he gets it, and then the thing just hangs on him like for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Just hanging on him the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's called Dark Tourist.
Okay.
It's a New Zealand journalist.
Oh.
Where he goes to all
Wow.
the
I wonder
places.
what his
in the
name
world.
is.
Yeah, I can't remember, but
Yeah.
yeah, he goes to all those really scary places.
Yeah,
so there's a
sure.
place in Africa where they do blood rituals,
Wow.
and they believe in like demons and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes to other places in like Kazakhstan, where they used to test all of the nuclear bombs.
Wow.
So it's a place where it's the most radioactive place on the planet. They call it like ground zero.
Gee, this guy is pretty crazy, but
Yeah.
David
Pretty awesome.
Farrier.
Who?
David Farrier.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
he's a
Okay.
journalist. And
yeah.
yeah, he just visits popular attractions.
I remember he had one where he went to America and he visited a community of vampires.
Of vampires.
Yeah. There was like, I think it was like Louisiana.
Yeah.
There was people who just dressed up as it. It was like just a dress up fun thing, inhabit the character.
Yeah.
But then he found these other people who were legit sucking human blood.
Wow.
And this guy was like, I had a lot of health problems, and whatever the doctor told me to do, it didn't work. But as soon as I started sucking blood, my health became better.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like they're full on killing people. It's like they do a little prick on the back of someone, blood comes out, and then they suck
And
on it.
what do these people who let themselves get sucked? Like, are they?
Oh yeah, it's consented.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a ritual thing. Like when you join,
Okay.
it's like they want.
So it's not just like people going around
Yeah.
like stabbing necks and having a swig.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah.
Mm.
Did we just burn through like every one of
I
our?
think we did.
But what time are we at?
I don't know if we
We're
can
at 30.
discuss this, but as a biology teacher, do you believe climate change is real?
Look, I think humans are influencing climate change. You know,
Yeah.
I think climate change is a natural process
Yeah.
that happens cyclically.
Okay. Yeah.
So like glacial, interglacial periods.
Of course.
You know, if you look at the Earth's history, then you know it's very obvious that these patterns have happened, and you know you can date ice cores, you can look at pollen analyses. You know, I think, I think climate change. I don't know. I think it's around. I think humans are.
Do you think it's as bad as people are saying it is? For instance, when we hit the average temperature increases by 2 degrees, then like that's it. We're beyond the point of no return, or
I don't actually know, Roman. I don't know. I just view it as a natural process, and there's things that we can do to, mitigate or reduce the output. I mean, CO2 is a greenhouse gas. That's, it's not hard to realise that it is, and
Yeah.
temperatures are increasing naturally. But, if we're kind of feeding that process, then it's just kind of making things a little bit worse. Then I don't know.
So you think we do have an obligation to reduce this?
I think we do. Like as we're becoming more advanced, technologically, as we're growing as a a global population as well, then obviously we need to match that growth rate through creating new infrastructure and resources to support a massive increase in the population. So that's only by default going to create more waste, whether that's chemical waste or other forms of waste, and I think we need to be more savvy or consider more sustainable ways, which I know is a huge focus at the moment. Where do you boys stand with that?
I'm not
debate?
completely sure, to be honest, but if it is real, I think we are obligated to do something.
Yeah. I mean, I just look at photos from like satellite images that have been taken like over the past 10, 15, 20, 50 years. And you can see there's a massive change in, the poles, like the Arctic, Antarctic regions, and what was there.
They say that by 2050, the Arctic region is going to have no ice.
Scary.
12 out of just going to melt.
Yep, it's not going to be no more. 12 out of 16 penguins gone. The 16 species, or 2/3 of polar bears, no more. Because we've run out of questions, I'm gonna steal one from Triple J. They have on Thursday hack.
Okay.
It's pretty funny. Now the premise is that climate change is going to take us. It's gone. Climate change is gone. Which would you prefer, the fiery oven baked world or the splishy splashy water world? When sea levels rise, it's all going to be we're all going to be underwater hanging out, or when it just gets too hot and that's it.
Oh wow! So we're either living in an inferno or
the underwater splishy splashy
Mad Max with boats.
Yeah, water world. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it has to be the water world way. I don't know.
We got more of a chance with the water world, I think.
Fire's just too destructive, but water is too, isn't it? I feel like you could do more things and be you can survive, or your chances of survival are better.
You could always
there's too much water.
You could always fish in the water world.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
You can always desalinate the water if it's salt water, or you can float on water. Fire's just there's nothing left and it's too hot.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
There's no plants or trees. There could be algae in the oceans. You could cultivate that for I don't know. I'm just talking rubbish now. But with fire, there's no water, there's no plants, there's no animals.
So
yeah. The options are more limited. So water world all the way. Yeah.
Well, any subjects you hate?
Any subjects I hate?
Or maybe
hate's a strong.
Hate's a strong word. Look,
I
think there's certain subjects that I don't have an incredible understanding of. So my worst subject at school was English. To be honest, I never really knew what the teacher wanted or how things were assessed, or I would think I'd write an amazing essay and I'd get I'd just scrape through, and I don't think I had good English teachers as well at school that really made things clear or made things I don't know. So I mean, if I had to go back to school now, I probably wouldn't look forward to going to English class. I don't know if things have changed, but for me it was more kind of the sciencey classes. I didn't mind maths. I quite enjoyed maths. Subjects where it's kind of black and white. There's a process. It's logical. Do step A and then step B happens, or I guess that's just how my mind works. Definitely more left brain.
What about you, Roman? I know you're still a student, but
I'm still a student. I don't want to say.
Your teacher's definitely watching this.
Well, maybe.
It's going to mark you down.
Wait, is this getting assessed?
No. What about you, Nathan? You brave enough? English,
yeah. Mrs. McGuinness is a good teacher and all, but
it's just too grey for you. That's fair enough.
How about you boys? How about you, Damien?
Well, he loves English. He does literature.
Yeah, I do literature, so not that, but I don't know. I don't mind maths. Not that I'm very good at it. Maybe something like.
What about when you did physics? Did you like that?
Yeah, I just wasn't good at that either.
It's weird.
Maybe human bio. I know that's kind of similar to what you teach, but human bio.
Yeah.
You guys want to do a 10-second fun fact?
All right, let's do it. All right, so this next segment we do. Do you want to say something?
Oh, no, you
All right,
can.
yeah. So we do this thing where we have 10 seconds, and we have 10 seconds to say one fun fact about us.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So Nathan gets up a timer, and then we all say one fun fact.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Alright, so it's 15 seconds.
15 seconds. All right.
Alright, let me just.
Oh, I haven't got one ready.
I don't. Yeah, either.
You better start thinking.
I don't
quick.
have one.
3.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
2,
Yeah.
1, go.
I failed a test in year 7. Good.
I never owned any cats or dogs.
Alright, Mr. Andrews, you got 5 seconds. Come on, you
5
got
seconds on the clock. Go.
I created a glow-in-the-dark fish at university.
Wait.
Alright.
How do you create a glow-in-the-dark fish exactly?
We gene spliced, so we looked at taking DNA from bioluminescent jellyfish,
Yeah.
and then splicing that gene and inserting it into zebradanios, which is like a really small, simple form of tropical fish.
Oh, I had a friend who did that to a rat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not incredibly ethical, but
Yeah.
I think it was where like biotechnology was kind of like a buzzword and quite a new thing about 15 years ago. So I had a professor that was kind of cuckoo, and one of the labs we did was looking at that. So yeah, that's a much better fact.
Yeah, that's an question.
That was kind of an area that I got interested in for a little while, and I did
Yes.
heaps of research because people were saying how my friend told me that, and then he said that and I was like, oh, what's the craziest thing that you've ever done, like with genes? And then she told me that, and then she said, oh yeah, but you have no idea what even the Chinese do, or something like that. So what's the craziest thing you've seen someone actually do with genes or anything, like science, like some Frankenstein thing?
Oh, to be honest, not much. Not much. I mean, I've read articles and seen things like where they've, grown ears on the back of mice and rats, for organ transplants and things like that. But I haven't seen anything too crazy in terms of, I guess like when I was coming through, it was all really new, so not much had been done, or not in New Zealand anyway.
Have you heard that they're doing that with pigs now? Because it turns out the genetic makeup between humans' organs and pigs' organs aren't that different. So now, I think my grandfather actually has a heart valve from a pig.
Yeah, well.
So they're changing it also. Maybe we'll be getting hearts and livers and whatnot from
Yeah,
pigs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they call it xenotransplantation. It's a big thing that's happening. Hey, if we're compatible with those animals and they can help us survive better, and if humans can't help humans, then why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for that kind of I guess application of gene technology. I don't like it when it goes a bit crazy and you start I don't know, messing with genes or playing God in like a really weird way.
Yeah.
With how they're saying that maybe one day you can choose what eye color your baby has. Have you heard about all that?
Genetic.
What's your take on that?
Yeah.
Look, even today I know that you can screen for a lot of diseases or mutations or deformities in embryos, but there's a high mortality risk if you want to know if your baby's going to have Down syndrome or be at risk of thalassemia or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a risk with even checking those things?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
But if you want to know if it runs in the family, if it's genetic, then sometimes it's important to know. But there's a fine line. I think, I'm going back to the idea of playing God again. I think you should be happy with whatever you have, and for me it becomes a bit unethical or moral if what do you do if you find that you are going to have a child that has a certain deformity. It kind of opens up thought processes that maybe shouldn't really, be thought of. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I think you should be just happy with whatever you have, and yeah.
So science helping humans in terms of medicine, that type of stuff, you think is the best part of science?
I think that's the best application of science. Yeah. But obviously, in every industry, there's going to be those that push the boundary, that push the envelope, that want to,
Of course,
do things that might be a little bit, out of the box, or that's what I don't really like when you go, to the point of ridiculous, or you go a little bit too far and it becomes, not beneficial for everyone, or it's not really going to help people out. It becomes dangerous.
In China, they it's not confirmed, but apparently they edited the genes of twins to be HIV resistant.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
It's not confirmed or anything, but it's reported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are we
So,
going for time? All right,
with-
46, yeah.
Yeah, it's just ethical and ethic debate.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you reckon it's a foreseeable future that we can choose what our babies are like?
I think we're heading in that direction. I think it's scary, but the way in which, if I look at how far we've come in like the past 10, 15 years, I think it's only natural that we might progress that way. And I think there'll be people out there who would want to know those kind of things. I think there's people that will use those services. I guess I'm just one end of the spectrum that is more against that kind of idea of screening for kind of embryonic traits, but I don't know. I think if you ask maybe some other couples, maybe the millennials coming through, that's, they want designer babies.
Maybe.
They want...
They'll have kids with like 6 fingers and stuff,
What do you mean?
I was thinking more like 6 foot.
6'2",
just
like
like-
athletic,
Oh, yeah.
academic.
And then you can have a baby and you say, I want it to be the ultimate like soccer player.
Yeah.
And then you take Ronaldo's genes or whatever and you just copy that.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so crazy.
I feel like this is a movie.
I think there is a movie about
There
it.
probably is a
actually.
movie somewhere.
Yeah.
You ever read You remember 10 Futures, right?
I do remember.
One of the chapters was about how you could edit like genes.
Yeah.
I met the guy who wrote that book.
You met him?
Michael
Yeah.
Pryor?
Yeah, I met Michael Pryor at like a writing seminar thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was
Nice.
talking about how like the thought process of that book. Yeah, but others who read it didn't like it, so
Yeah.
it's kind of funny meeting him.
So the year is coming to an end. This is our last year with you as film teacher.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're going to miss about our film?
Yeah, there will be. I think it's crazy to think that, I saw you guys,
5
yeah,
years? Yeah.
beginning of 2015.
Yeah, so,
Um,
yeah.
So yeah, it will be 5 years at the end of this year. I think when I started here, I was told that Moyes 8.2, there's a few curly characters, and there's a few energetic individuals, and they weren't wrong. They absolutely were. But I think any PCG, you have your ups and your downs, and there's moments where I've absolutely, which is most of the time, really enjoy coming to PCG, and there's moments where there's, you kind of have had enough. But
Yeah.
I think that's normal, with any kind of relationship that you form. There's going to be good days, bad days, and I think it's actually healthy to go through those times. And if anything, I think it makes you like those people, or in this case, your PCG members even more. In our PCG, there, we're also different. There's those that are very loud and out there and commanding, and then there's the quiet achievers who just kind of, sit and get on with their own things in the corner.
Which one is Damien?
Yeah, whatever my opinion.
Damien's definitely towards the more quieter end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But there's no perfect PCG student. There's none that I like more than others. You've all got your
So
own.
you don't have a favourite?
I don't have a favourite.
He has a favourite, I'm just not telling you.
It's you, Damien. You're the favorite.
Nah.
It's hard because there's you all offer something unique, and there's some days where I might like some of you more than others, but that could be completely different the next day. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, you guys will be missed. It's only natural that you form those bonds with someone that you see, probably more than your parents in a given week, like 5 days every day, if not in PCG, in and around the school and classes. Yeah.
I think that's a good note to wrap up on.
All right, yeah.
Well, we do have one more question, actually.
Yes.
We do, yes.
Very serious. It's something that we ask every guest who comes
Yes.
on. I'm just going to go straight into it. If you could be any component of an aircraft, what aircraft component would you be and why?
It's probably the hardest question of today, actually.
It is. That's a difficult one.
There are so many different answers and options to go for.
I'd probably want to be... Gosh, I've got no idea. So any part of an airplane.
Any part.
An aircraft component, yeah.
It could be
So it doesn't
something-
have to be your classic Boeing 737. It can be, something more exotic, maybe even a smaller biplane.
Also, an actual type of aircraft.
Oh no, a part.
No,
of the
a part, a
aircraft.
component of.
Can
an
it be
aircraft.
something prior, like something is like within an airport system, or I'd like to be the X-ray machine.
Sure, yeah. Why's that?
Like,
It's not
okay,
really
all right, I'll give you a secondary answer, but I think like imagine if you're the X-ray machine, seeing like what is in people's bags, like what does the average traveller pack? What's going into the aircraft? I think I don't know. There could be some interesting things. And
Do you want to do the little beep when it's like an illegal?
Oh, I
substance
think
and
that
it comes
would
up
be,
as red.
yeah,
That's illegal. Beep.
yeah. What's your best impression of an X-ray beep sound?
Wait, what do they sound like?
Like, I can't do it.
I think it kind of has to be like a little bit high
beep.
pitched.
Yeah, it's like beep. No.
Oh, that was pretty good.
That was actually really good.
Oh, there you go.
I can't do high pitch. My voice doesn't allow it. Beep.
Wait. Are you X-raying the people walking through from?
Oh no, I wouldn't want to see
Or you
that.
just
No, like the luggage, like the
The
bags.
luggage, yeah.
Like, see, okay, so, what's going on holiday here? All right, yep, cool.
I don't think they have a beep, but I reckon it would go. Beep beep.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Alright, well, on that note, we'll
Wait,
end
what
this.
wasn't there a secondary answer?
Oh, on the actual aircraft.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, it could be like the toilet or like something about the actual
Oh,
mechanics. or,
okay.
like,
Sorry, I'm thinking of. All right, so something. Okay, all right.
What were you thinking of?
You can be the food storage.
One of the cogs in one of the machines somewhere. I don't know.
All right.
Seat BA, perhaps.
What?
Just the specific seat BA.
Oh, the
like
specific
aisle
seat,
B,
BA.
A, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Road 23.
Road
I think I'd be
23.
the emergency door latch.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really OCD, and I like to know that everything is. I'm a terrible flyer as well, so I go through a whole process. I actually have to kind of, listen to some music and,
Yeah.
have something to calm me down. So yeah, I'd probably be the emergency door latch just to make sure that it's extra safe, extra locked. No one's messing with me. There's no little 5-year-old like having a little jostle as they walk past. Like,
Wow. Could
yeah.
you imagine seeing that?
Yeah. Or do you know what freaks me out the most is when people are waiting by the emergency exit where the toilets are and there's that space, and like they talk and then they lean against the emergency door, or someone in that seat that's up against the window, they put their legs up on the emergency door. How there's that little buffer.
I've had that
You
seat
know.
before where I was on the window seat
Yeah.
and I had to have like the chick who comes, the air hostess was
Stewardess?
like,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to have your baggage under the seat in front of you
Yeah.
because like you are the person who's going to have to pull the thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, are you prepared to pull it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And when I was like a couple hour flight and you're just sitting there like, I could just pull it right now.
I know. See, that's what. Don't
Just
say
do it. I
that
could just
because
do it
it's people
right
like
now.
you that terrify me. The what if I pull that or.
I put my hand on it once and I was like, that's too scary.
And that's why I go to the toilet heaps too on the flight because I always need to make sure that no one's leaning on it, sitting on it. There can't be any feet on it. So yeah, that would be my answer. I'd be the emergency door latch. Yeah,
Fair enough.
Alright,
steadfast.
cool. Alright.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on today.
Thank
No,
you so
thank you
much.
for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
That's been an After Hours podcast. Thank you for listening, and yeah, see you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.